Hello, everyone. This is Ernie Humphrey, the CEO of Treasury Webinars. Thrilled to have you join us for our webinar today, AP in 2024, Trends, Expectations, and Opportunities. First and foremost, I'd like to thank my webinar partner for today's event, SCUR. They share my commitment to thought leadership, but more importantly, share my commitment to impacting the career success of those that use their software. A few housekeeping items before we get started today. If you're interested in a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, you will have to stay online for the remainder of the webinar and answer all of our polling questions. If you would like a copy of today's presentation, you can please send an email to Ernie@treasurywebinars.com. Also, if you want a certificate of attendance, to be sure you get one, please send an email to Ernie@treasurywebinars.com. Give you a little bit of a roadmap of our webinar today. Of course, we are going to go over some of the key survey results from my AP in 2024 survey that I completed about a month ago, and we had over 265 responses. So excited to share those results and then frame right around the survey results. What are the expectations in 2024, right? What does success look like? How do we deliver success? And our company's investing in their AP teams to deliver success in the face of increasing expectation and headwinds. And then, as always, we'll offer some key takeaways as well. As always, we can certainly take your questions in the questions area of your GoToWebinar control panel. If we don't get to your questions, happy to follow up with you after the webinar is over. So I'll give you a little bit of the survey overview. Had a good mix of job titles, focused on U.S. corporate-based companies. We had some qualifying questions to make sure that folks had the knowledge to answer the in-depth questions that we asked. So had a really good mix of AP and supervisor analysts, those who are really on the operational sides. Also had a good mix of CFOs, AP managers. So really happy with those results, and finance managers as well. Had a good mix of company size as well. A little bit less of a tilt that we normally see in terms of what I call small companies under 100. Had a very good mix between our mid-market companies, which I define as between 100 and 999 employees, and then 1,000 or more for enterprise-sized companies. So we had a really good mixture of company sizes and job titles. Also had a really good mixture of industries as well. So we didn't have too much of a tilt there. So just 10% and above, we had technology, manufacturing, healthcare. So interesting to see retail, energy, construction. So we had a really good diversity in terms of the industries as well. So very happy with the quality of the survey data, and in making some inferences from our survey results. That's absolutely important. But one of probably the most important thing is to help companies and teams ask the right questions, ask different questions, and really have the mindset of continuous improvement in all areas of accounts payable and payments, of course. So excited to share the results with you. So let's talk about some expectations in 2024. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and launch the first polling question, just asking you to share. Do you expect the responsibilities of our or your AP team in 2024? Do you expect them to increase significantly, increase slightly, stay the same, or decrease? I'm happy to have everyone take a moment to just click on that button for us and share the answer that's right for your company. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take a quick look at those results, and then we'll compare those with the results of the survey. I will tell you what I've seen in doing research of going into a coming year. I think since going into 2021, into 2022 and in 2023, we have seen the responsibilities increasing, and part of that obviously can be due to COVID as COVID took hold, but what we are seeing is that this trend is continuing, which is a good thing for those in the AP profession. So let me go ahead and quick peek. Let's go ahead and share those results real quick. Let's take a quick peek there. So we see Excited to see, we still have 66%, right? 2/3 of the people that answered the survey is going to increase, and over 1/4 increase significantly. So we had 6% decrease, which is a little more than we normally see. But what we've seen again is that the responsibilities of the AP teams are going up in 2024. And what we'll talk about momentarily is, okay, what about the strategic role, right, of AP? And then what about the complexity of invoices in other areas of AP, which makes it more complicated to deliver on these increasing responsibilities. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to answer the polling question. So just take a quick peek here, the responsibilities of the AP team. So we saw 68% of over 265 companies surveyed. They said that was going to increase, at least increase slightly, half. But then the strategic role of AP in 2024 expected that to increase. So that's very encouraging. So again, we've seen some good momentum there, as well as that strategic role increasing. So it's good news, right? The more responsibilities we're getting, but we're also getting more what I would call strategic responsibilities as well. So 46% say that strategic role is going to increase, and that gives AP teams the opportunity to deliver more value and even get a seat at their strategic table. So I want to dig a little deeper on those expectations. What about the complexity of processing invoices? And just to show you what we had going into 2023 as well, on the right side, so we see that processing complexity is going to increase as well. So we have a 21% increase significantly, so that's a pretty big number. And then 44%, so again, almost 2/3, we're going to have more responsibilities, more complexity, but we're going to also have a more strategic role, which is a good thing. And that processing complexity, we've also seen that go up year over year over the past 4 years of our survey. So everyone's thinking, okay, what about invoices processed? Are we going to have more to process? They're going to be more complex. The answer is yes. So the good news is, yes, is that we're processing more invoices, which hopefully means our company is growing and we're generating more revenue so we can better compensate our AP team, right? So invoices processed is going to increase significantly, almost 1/3 of the survey respondents. Then we had almost half increase. So, and then we look at what we had going in 2023. So we see similar numbers there as well. So we're starting to see, right, the trend is going on. We're going to have more responsibilities. Part of those responsibilities are going to be invoices processed. Those are going to be more complex. However, we are going to have the opportunity to play a more strategic role as well. So the other thing we wanted to take a look at was expectations. So we wanted to take a look at just some really high level headwinds. So we wanted to look at, okay, what do we expect in terms of DPO going into 2024? And what we'd like to see here is we'd like to see that decreasing, right? So once and strategically decreasing, right? Some people might say, hey, we want to say that increase, right? Holding our cash longer. So just to see what that looks like. So 43 to 44%, year over year, 2 years, say it's about over 40% to stay the same. And really, to really dive a little bit more strategic here, what we really want to see is more control, right? Over that DPO. We want to have data-driven decision making. In terms of making the best use possible of our cash, holding on to our cash or taking discounts as they're offered. So the more control we have, the more that facilitates the optimization of our cash. So just interesting for you to take a look. Again, a lot of survey data information. Again, if you'd like a copy of today's presentation, please send an email to Ernie at treasurywebinars.com. Happy to share the slide deck with you. Also be looking for the full survey report, which I will be releasing probably in December as well. So another thing I wanted to look at in terms of expectations is time spent on supplier relationships, because the better your supplier relationships are, the more control that you have over when your payments are made. And also you have more influence on whether you can negotiate discounts, and also you're going to be able to have more influence on the types of payments, because payments are less, certain types are less costly, and in certain types of payments that you make, you can earn rebates as well. So good news is we see 48% reporting that they're going to increase the time spent on supplier relationships, which is encouraging. So we want that time spent on supplier relationships to allow us to align with more control over the payments. And so measuring that could be, this is the optimal timing that we'd like to see, right, for our payments. Are we paying terms, the amount of discounts that we're taking? Are we generating more discounts? Are we able to convert folks? Let's say we have a program to get people off of checks to ACH or checks to a credit card where you can earn rebates. So that's all good on those sides, so it can impact the bottom line. And the other part, which is beneficial, especially to AP offering more strategic value, is time spent collaborating with Treasury. As we collaborate with our Treasury partners, they can help us in accounts payable, facilitate the timing of payments, but also work with them on the types of payments as well, and also helping Treasury understand the whys of when those payments are going out. That improves our forecasting, right, of payments going out the door, which helps on working capital. And the more collaboration with Treasury, that's going to deliver value up the chain. So in the bottom line, so we see 44% of companies reporting they're going to collaborate with Treasury. So again, forecasting is important. The more predictability that we can deliver to our Treasury team, the better they can be doing at making decisions. If we're off in those decisions in our forecast, what happens is Treasury makes suboptimal decisions. Maybe we are a net borrower and we have high borrowing costs, so maybe we're needing to borrow, not needing to borrow money, and we do that. It can be extremely costly, but also mitigating other risks as well. Maybe we're entering into derivative transactions on foreign currency exposures as well. So the more predictability we can deliver, the better. But on the other side of it, it might be that we have money to invest, so we want to make sure that we're getting the most out of the money that we might have to invest in our short-term investments, or maybe we'll be able to make some long-term investments that can impact things like how we fund our acquisitions and our growth as well. So it's important to work with Treasury and deliver the predictability of those payments in those, so helping us optimize our cash movements. So let's talk about, so we talked about what are the expectations before we start getting into the survey results about what resources are companies expecting to give their AP teams to mitigate these increased responsibilities and maybe headwinds. Let's just level set and talk about what AP done right looks like. So these things are going to be outcomes that are going to happen to help AP deliver more strategic value, whether it's in 2024 or going forward. And so for the Treasury folks, the CFOs, anyone that has AP report up to them, these are the things that we want to, I would say, empower. And if you're an AP team leader or an AP team member, these are the things that you should expect, or these are the things that you should strive to, because these are the things that are going to help AP become, one, more efficient in terms of processing costs, but also help people mitigate inherent productivity drags across AP and beyond AP to all the approvers, but also help us on the bottom line in terms of, again, that predictability of those payments, and also potentially getting some rebates as well from our suppliers. So we want to enable remote work, right? We've been in COVID era for a while, so we need to make sure we continue to do that. We want to eliminate manual process. We want to, if we haven't done it in the last 6 months, take a deep dive into all areas of AP, everything, people, process, systems, all the way from initiating the procurement cycle, supplier management. Let's go all the way to that end to end until the payment goes out the door, and look at those. We want to enhance visibility. We'll talk a lot more about this. What happens when there's blind spots that causes friction among your AR team? It causes friction with suppliers. When you don't have visibility into supplier relationships, that causes friction. It can damage those supplier relationships. especially since we are still seeing supply chain issues. So we want to have good relationships with our suppliers to navigate those issues. And I just mentioned we want to optimize those supplier relationships, and then strategic AP helps our treasury folks and our company optimize cash flow. So those are things. This is the outcome. We want to optimize our cash flow. We want to be doing, and we're looking at AP. We want to look at our resources, people, process, and of course technology. Technology, we want to enable remote work. We want to eliminate manual processes. We want to enhance visibility, and we want to offer technology that allows us to collaborate, and often collaborate in real time, and remove asymmetries of information that exist either within AP or within our company for approvers, but also between our team and our suppliers as well. Again, we want to enable remote work. A little bit deeper there. Again, we've been in this world a few more years, just food for thought. You want to make sure we have the business continuity, business agility, and just, an overarching theme that I've still seen: remote and hybrid AP workers are here to stay. So we need to make sure, as an AP leader or as a company leader, we need to make sure that we are facilitating them to be successful in whatever that environment looks like, and allow folks to collaborate effectively, whether they're in the office or across the world. And so talk about a little bit deeper, eliminating manual time and manual tasks. Look, we already said we have more responsibilities in 2024. It's more complex. We have more seat at the strategic table. So it's really important that we eliminate the manual tasks, the repetitive tasks, so we can give our team more time to focus on value-add activities. And another part of that, which I'm sure we'll touch on a little bit later, is eliminate the supplier issues that we have, the repetitive issues, the time that we spend on the phone for issues that we know are coming. We need to get at the root cause and be proactive in our communications with our suppliers. The visibility side, I often get on my soapbox here just to dig a little deeper. You can't manage what you can't see. I talked about this already. Blind spots create inefficiencies, right? Asymmetry of information between staff and suppliers damages the relationship. Asymmetry of information among your staff with your approvers wastes time and impacts their productivity. And also these blind spots and this friction, what it does is it makes your AP team unhappy. There is definitely a war for talent out there, so we want to make sure that we are giving our folks the environment where they are successful, delivering value, and happy, so we avoid turnover. Visibility allows companies to make educated decisions, right, about existing discounts, which some folks don't even have visibility to, and then explore discount opportunities if that makes sense to our company in terms of cash position. So incredibly important to deliver value. Visibility is key. How do you improve your supplier relationships? Just some specific things that we want to do to make sure that we are empowering our team to do. We want to open lines of communication. We want to eliminate any barriers to communication. Again, asymmetries of information. Think of technology. Do we have real-time collaboration? Do we deliver the remittance information suppliers need, right? So we need to be delivering the information. We need to be, we need to be a good customer. Do we have the technology and processes that allow folks to make accurate, or for us to make accurate on-time payments? Are we proactive in the communication of payment delays? We should be proactive on that side. That's what develops trust in a relationship. And then that trusted relationship delivers more control over the types and timing of payments that we have. So what does optimizing cash flow look like? Again, control of how and when payments are made, while we're doing so efficiently, right? Minimizing costs, but also security. So if we look at the technology side on a high level, what can automation do for us? Our process efficiency, right? The cost goes down, the savings goes down as we optimize the types of payments. We have better supplier relationships, and then we also have that audit trail, which is risk as well. So we want to optimize cash flows, but in all the considerations, we want to make sure that we are doing it efficiently and securely. And so just to give some information for any CFOs that are on the webinar today, or the business case for any AP leader who is looking to earn investment, whether that's in people, process, or technology improvements, here's some of the ROI. So again, you look at where can we get to and what's the cost of getting there? But we touched on some of these. You mitigate invoicing costs, mitigate costs resolving issues and disputes. The discounts is really important on both sides. Impacts the productivity of those processing invoices, mitigates your processing costs. You can get rebates from commercial cards, improves working capital management, and impacts the productivity of employees, improving and affecting payments. So for me, I really started looking into AP done right probably about 6 or 7 years ago, and it amazes me how much value that there is if companies just do that little investment, get the information, the visibility to ask the right questions. And the reason I put financial transformation on this slide is I see all this, I would say, hype around finance transformation, AI, all that kind of, and not that AI is bad, but having all your AP staff learn Python, I think that's a bridge too far. But a lot of companies, I think they do want to have the mindset of the transformation needs to start with control of cash. That's incredibly important for any company of any size. So let's look at AP, AR, and treasury operations. So that's, to me, that's where this transformation needs to take place. And transformation doesn't need to be all this extensive technology and overhaul, excellence, and all those things. It can be done with what some might consider the blocking and tackling. Blocking and tackling has tremendous strategic value because I think we just looked at it as a cost of doing business. It's not a cost of doing business, because having that mindset causes all of these issues, which we talked about, and changing your mindset from the cost of doing business to being a strategic partner with your suppliers and internally as well allows tremendous bottom line impacts positively. So let's go back to the survey a little bit. Just take a look at the lay of the land here. Just trying to look at the supplier relationship. So we talked about the importance of supplier relationships. So we'll take a look at the current state, and then a little later, we'll review the survey results and see if the companies surveyed are investing. We touched on this just a little bit. We saw that they're maybe investing more time in relationships, which is good. What other things might companies be doing to support better supplier relationship? So encouraging that we saw 30% is ideal. And so this is where I would ask folks to aspire to be, communicate and collaborate proactively. A little bit we can do better. Hopefully from this webinar, you get inspired to go, okay, how do I make it happen? And decent or not good. So we still have 25% out there. So, where you stand depends on where you sit. But I think we see that there's a lot of room for improvement. Again, the other part of it is where are we at? Supplier relationships, you look at how much time is spent on the phone by folks. What are the consequences of that, right? Are these conversations being fruitful, not fruitful, right? What are we gaining from these conversations we're having? And then what if we did, XYZ, especially in the right situations where we have discount opportunities, but also, again, AP and payments, some people, they're very intertwined, but from the AP mindset, I think there's not enough education on, let's talk about the payments, right? Let's be strategic and work with Treasury on how we're making payments. Optimizing your payments mix and just getting folks from checks to maybe an ACH is incredibly valuable to your company. We just need to make sure that we get that remittance information over. So just kind of wanted to look at some current supplier issues here. Obviously, they could select more than one. Timing of payment, right? Of course. What we see, more information on an invoice, clarification of information, requesting the same information. So those, I would say discount related issues too, can be tied back to, I would say, technological immaturity. So, and lack of communication. And so communication, collaboration, right? On the invoices, and we'll talk about this a little later, how technology can help us in terms of getting the information we need as well. And then we have causes of supplier issues, right? We have some technology issues, but we see manual paper, again, supplier documents, I already talked about this asymmetry of information, access to supplier activity. And so, and the other part is silos, which we need to eliminate as well. But if we start to look at it, the root cause is access to supplier activity. Okay, we can get around, we can help mitigate that with technology, asymmetry of information. Yeah, technology, documents, communications from suppliers. We can certainly help the facilitation of document exchange and quality and communication with technology. Too much paper, manual processes, technology can help us do that. And then if it's just the systems, again, technology. This is not a sales pitch for technology. What this is showing you how AP can deliver value, right? What are the inherent barriers right now? What are some ways that AP can deliver more strategic value? And then as we start to look at areas that may need improvement, we start to see how it makes sense to look at technology and look at the business case for that in allowing AP to deliver on those higher expectations. So this is another thing I wanted to get into a little bit and look at how companies choose to pay suppliers, because when I worked in Treasury, we really didn't collaborate with accounts payable. This was 20 years ago, but shame on us. So there should be some data-driven decision-making going on. So again, if you've never heard about this, it costs us at least 10 times more. It used to be 10, at least 5 to 10 times more to process by check. It's and then it drops down. ACH is very cost effective in today's world. And with the right processes in place, credit cards can be valuable as well. And there are credit cards that you can make rebates on. What we don't want to do is just go to our suppliers and say you have to do XYZ, you have to take rebates, and then they take a haircut on what they get, and they don't understand the benefits. So we have to collaborate there. So this is just interesting to me. 36%, they just pay suppliers and they've always been paid. They don't look at it. They don't look at the why, right? Ernie's the why guy. So we look at the why. Pay in a manner that's the most cost effective for us. That's not necessarily a terrible thing, but a lot of companies, I don't think they even know what that is. To me, I don't collaborate with them and let them choose. And so I would say you look for that to be an informed decision, right? And so for me, what should be happening is we should have an optimal payments mix. Okay, this is how many percent of checks we're writing now. This is what we'd like to do by the end of the year or next quarter. We're ACHs. We want to move to ACH. Maybe we want to move people from ACH to postcard with the rebate, but we should be having programs there. And then you can look at the value of moving from one payment to another in terms of those processing cost savings, but also, again, it's possible to get rebates as well. And so, and also in using those, it helps us, you have more control over when those payments are received, right, to make sure you're getting those discounts. So using something like an ACH, you can immediate payment for credit cards, so we can make sure that we're getting those discounts as well. That helps. So again, just looking back here, the good news is, all right, we want to collaborate with Treasury, so that's good, right? We're going to increase that. So those are good things. The things we should be looking at with Treasury, right, are okay. Look at the payment types that we have. How are we making payments right now? What are things that we should be looking at in order to move people from one payment to another? What type of information do we need to deliver to our customers, right? AP done right on our side means AR done right on their side. So we got to be able to communicate the benefits as well, and then especially collaborate with the visibility. Let's look at these discounts that we have available. Should we be taking them? Are we taking them? And are we in a cash position where we should be doing some dynamic discounting, which is facilitated by solutions like our friends at Esker. So let's do a little more deep on payments. Preferred way to pay suppliers across the different types. ACH, good to see. 22% still prefer checks, which is kind of mind-boggling to me. So then you got to look at, is there some education that needs to happen? I would say yes. So we need to look at why. Okay, what's our preferred way? How do suppliers want to be paid? How do we marry those together? The good news is that 92% of companies are talking how they make payments, but 22% still like to pay by check. So there's a little bit of a mismatch there. So Treasury and AP should have a meeting, right? And say, okay, this is the way that we would like to pay suppliers, and this is why. And how do we move more of our suppliers to our preferred way, and then optimize, the timing of that and look at the discounts and all the other factors. I would say that there's still a little bit of a climate of we just want to do business as usual. And some people still look at AP as a cost of doing business, and that's where the opportunity comes to remove that mindset. So just kind of looking at that transition, what we might see, electronic payments. So, and again, this is going into 2023, going into 2024. We see increase significantly, 22%. And then the year before, we also had over 260 responses, increase significantly. So we are seeing a trend, which is a good thing, that companies are wanting to move away from checks and move to electronic payments as well. So that is a good thing to see. So we're seeing that momentum could go in the right direction. I believe that this year, possibly that electronic payments may have finally overtaken checks as the most common form of payment in the US. But if they did, it's not by much. So we still have that inherent barrier. So again, we already talked about this, but these are payments issues, right? Again, happy to give anyone a copy of the slides after the webinar is over, but we need to be looking at these issues, the root causes, and the more we can eliminate these root cause of supplier issues, the better our relationships are, the more that we can take control over the types of payments that we want to make, and then be a good customer on that side, get them the information that they need, and we can optimize our cash movements. So we talked about increasing expectations. We talked about there's some headwinds, right? Inherently, because of many issues, a lot of those are caused by technology, or caused by the immature technology, caused by inefficient processes, manual processes, asymmetries of information. So to our survey respondents, are they going to invest in areas to mitigate the issues that they realize are existing and empower their teams to deliver more value in 2024 and beyond? So we look at, in terms of people, what we can do there is we can fill gaps that we need to in terms of skills gaps. So it's good to go into your AP leader should be thinking, okay, these are our objectives. These are the skills that my team needs to deliver on that value, expectations, and more. So these are the skills that we have. Honest look in the mirror. These are the skills we need. And then how are we going to fill those gaps? Well, you can fill those gaps by adding employees, or you can upgrade the skills of your team to meet the needs, the skills they need to have to deliver on increased expectations and deliver more strategic value. So I know I've seen this for the last 4 years. Everybody was all afraid that we're going to have automation and all the AP departments are going to go away. What I've seen over the past 4 years solidly is that companies are adding to their AP teams. So we still have 43% of survey respondents looking to add employees, and that number has been high. I believe it's trended a little bit downward since probably 2001, but it's still there. And I haven't seen this number any higher than 6%. So teams are investing in people. And then let's talk about the skills they need to upgrade. What are the skills that are going to have the most impact on AP success? We have data management, cash management, right? It's good to see up there, but I'm really excited to see written communication, oral communication, business partner, and proficiency is related to emerging softwares like AI and spreadsheet software. So we see that in order to facilitate these skills that we need, right? These are about technology. Technology allows us to better manage data, allows us to better own our cash, and working with our treasury folks to do that. AP automation solution, that's good. We're going to invest in that technology. Data analytics, yeah, that software. Business partnering is facilitated by technology. And then we see proficiency and in spreadsheet software, but also it's important that AP teams invest in oral and written communication skills as well. So that is beyond technology. So we have to actually teach our folks how to collaborate. Communication is before collaboration. And so if nothing else, just thinking right with your AP team and your dynamics, thinking about what skills do I need to upgrade, and just kind of test and say, where is my team at in all these skills, and how might you look to upgrade those skills? And if you want to have a conversation about that, I'm happy to do that at any point. So the webinar is over. And then just to look at how you optimize performance of your AP team, because it's really important. You may want to hire new people, but you might not be able to. And you need to also be sure that you're not having attrition on your AP team. So a little diagram that I have a lot of information here, but again, happy to share this with you. You have to make sure your leader is good boss, offers praise and is vested. They got to facilitate communication is constructive and positive. If folks have accountability for themselves and at the departmental level and company level, they're going to be happier, they're going to perform. You need to understand the professional value that they're delivering, right, to the company. It makes them vested, it makes them not want to leave, right? They feel valued. And then we have to allow people opportunities for personal growth, health and wellness, but also professional growth. So let them take ownership of their own professional development. Incredibly powerful. And then, of course, we want to have the right culture in terms of not being a toxic environment, but also formalizing our value and ethics. So to really dive in a little bit, let's take a look at professional growth. Let's look if companies are looking to invest in professional growth for their AP teams in 2024. The good news is yes. So actually pretty incredible. 46% say they're going to increase the professional development opportunities, right, to their staff. So that's encouraging. So not only are companies looking to add employees, they're also looking to and/or, so they could be adding and also upskilling our existing employees. And then just to get people thinking, what are types of professional development opportunities that companies are offering, in case this is something on your mind, something you might want to talk about with your boss or your colleagues. Formal training in-house, very popular. One area I would suggest here is to look at having programs with your treasury folks as well, and make people understand the impacts that they have, right, on the efficiency of payments, cash management, individually and then as a team between AP and treasury. Incredibly powerful. It's important. Stretch assignments, right, learning projects. Be great to have AP and treasury working on projects that maybe the other department leads, conferences, certifications, and then university or coursework. Maybe if you want to have someone that's a real tech guru, you might want to give a little more investment to someone, and then empower your team to teach each other, which helps upskill. So allow them to opportunity to build their brand with their peers and get everybody up to a place where everyone has a very solid skill in this area, but you have someone who is the expert and the go-to person. Also, that helps them feel more engaged, and you will have less turnover as well. So in technology a little bit. This is particularly interesting to me. I've seen this over the last 3 or 4 years. I asked people, do you leverage more than one AP automation solution? 40% say yes. So companies might be investing in a solution, but they realize it's not really what they need. So they're investing in multiple solutions. I would suggest that you look to a company that can deliver all things that you need related to AP, and what you're looking on the payments front, and those companies absolutely exist. So again, even if you have invested in an AP automation solution or solutions, you should always be looking at, okay, what is the value that I should expect? Is this going to be delivered? I show the value proposition. The technology should be helping in all of those 10 areas. If it's not, you need to be looking elsewhere. The cloud-based solutions make it much less painful. You deserve the best, your team deserves the best, your expectations are up there, so we need the right solution. So this was just interesting to me, and we saw that almost 80% of the folks surveyed were at least leveraging one AP automation solution. So we asked, are you going to be investing in technology? I should say AP related technology there. 47% said yes. So again, even though these companies already have systems, they're looking to invest even more. I'm going to go ahead and give you a polling question real quick. Give myself a little break, asking you to share where's your company at in terms of AP automation. You've been doing it over a year, started in the past 12 months, discovery phase, you're now vetting solutions, or you're just not seeing the benefits of that at all. Again, if you're interested in receiving a certificate of attendance for today's webinar, you'll need to answer all the polling questions. I would love for everyone to take just a moment and press the button and go ahead and answer the polling question, and then we'll go ahead and dive in a little bit deeper and take a look at what a leading technology solution looks like. We talked about all these benefits that are possible, so we're going to go ahead. I'm going to take a look at what these things actually look like from theory to practice. I'm going to go ahead and leave the polling question up for another 10 seconds or so, then I'll go ahead and close that. Right, thank you. So we have a pretty good percentage of folks who are already invested or doing some sort of automation. Again, my mindset for you folks and what I'm delivering to you is when you're looking at what that solution, is it working for you? Is it delivering the value promise? What things is it not doing? And do you have multiple solutions in place? Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I really need to do that? And so I think if you go to the market and take another look, a fresh look, you'll see that there are solutions out there that will meet all your needs without having to have multiple solutions, managing things as well. So just to kind of look at what this all-in-one solution might look like for folks, we're going, to the supplier portal, and it actually can go farther than that. We can look at procurement as well. I'll show you a slide that shows that later. Supplier portal. On the invoice, we want to capture and dispatch. We want to deliver APIs and dashboards. Invoice verification, we want to optimize that workflow, mobile app, and then ERP integration. What I say is a lot of times the right solutions that are in the cloud, they actually empower ERPs. So it's not like you're replacing the ERP. It's ERPs weren't built to do the things that these solutions can do and don't offer enough value. So we're supercharging that by allowing that information to flow back and forth effectively. So this is really interesting. So if you're a person that's not an AP, you're in Treasury, you want to collaborate, you want to understand more, this is a really cool graphic from my friends at Esker. So what happens, supplier submits invoices in that supplier portal, and there's a lot of inefficiencies that can happen there. You want to make sure you're tracking, but that relationship starts here. So you want to make sure that's a positive experience. Invoices are queued for verification. Then we might have a route PO and non-PO. We want to make sure those workflows are optimized, that it's verified, right? And then we're going into the payment approval, final approval, and then ERP approval, payment. So this also is interesting, just because it shows the people that are involved. So you have a new customer, you have a specialist, you have a manager, and this could be an AP treasury, this could be the CFO, right? And then you have maybe someone else, maybe an AP specialist manager, final review. So there are multiple steps in the process. So each time there's a person in the process and there's information going back and forth and there's a process going on, there's an opportunity for inefficiencies to happen, in which we want to make sure we're mitigating those and mitigating asymmetries of information and making sure that we are using people's time as efficiently as possible. So just looking at supplier information management, I won't spend a lot of time here. Supplier portal, if you've never been exposed to one, can be the right one, can be really powerful, reduces your workload, right? You can share the workload with your supplier. To me, from Treasury, I like them to own their bank account information, and those bank account information changes, right? Who we're sending that money to, right? It's important to mitigate fraud. The approval workflow is really important. Again, the relationship starts, right? You don't want to start that off on the wrong foot. Suppliers are important. And then it has your review status, visibility, And then the data, right, can be moved into your ERP and help us, especially with the supplier and managing the information, what we call the master records. So there used to be whole webinars on that. So that could be incredibly messy, especially you have a supplier with multiple subsidiaries in multiple countries. So those relationships are incredibly important in terms of those invoice flows and those payments that are made. The other thing that's important is to have immediate access to invoices. And so there's some of the things you want to look for are there's multiple ways, right, to deliver EDI map, email, and I guess Microsoft, their portal. And then you can do this relative to the dimensions that matter to you, user company code, queues, and then it's cool to do the batch handling, document splitting, and so there's some automation and AI behind that. So if you don't men in the weeds, capture and dispatch, right? That seems kind of easy, but it's definitely not easy when those invoices are coming in the door. These dashboards are really cool. This helps you manage your workflow. So you can see, and you can also take a look at someone's personal productivity here, and then invoices put on hold. And then PO verification, I actually done a white paper on PO verification. It's actually can be pretty complicated. So that invoice verification, which doesn't get a lot of attention, there's a lot of things that can go wrong there. And then again, just more information on the invoice verification that I'm sure us could be happy to walk you through. And then this is important too. You can auto reject non-compliant invoices. We have certain standards that need to be made. We might not be allowed to do business in certain countries, so it's important that we have some automation on the compliance level. And then if you're looking at the AI side, right, we can start to identify things that are red flags that we can automatically, boom, contact the vendor. We can automatically review things. We can decrease the payments that shouldn't happen, and then potential rework if someone on our team has fixed something on this invoice, AI will automatically pop it in there going forward, so you don't have to go and do that again. Pop up and say, do you want to make this change? Yes, boom. Also, some things on GL accounts or things like that and POs that can help there as well. And then just related, the workflow, right? You can track the workflow, right? You can have a workflow that's rules-based, right? Sequence, steps, triggering, make sure we have all those. And then all of these folks impact efficiency. The specialists, the reviewers, the approvers, right? And the folks on the procurement side, buyers, and the receiver, right? So all these things are important. They can have a negative impact on your business as well as supplier relationships. We want to be looking at whether we're taking those early payment discounts. This gets to the visibility. We want to see these are the discounts available. Are we taking those? And then we can data decision why or why not. Maybe our processes don't even allow us to take those. So maybe we might need to look at different payment types just so we can take those discounts. And then on the treasury side and payment side, your payment approval workflow is important so you can see where it is who are we waiting for. But then to me as an approver, making a data-driven decision, I want to see the backup. I don't have to go to AP and look through a bunch of documents. Maybe I have a question. Maybe it's from someone that's not in my office. Maybe they're on the road. I can communicate internally. That's called collaboration, right? So that's incredibly powerful as well. So it helps you avoid late penalties. Of course, there might be a big reason that you might want to have an overdue amount, but we want to be making educated decisions. Obviously, we don't want to have a fine or a late fee. We want to have happy suppliers as well. But I say pretty much in real time tracking allows us to make sure that doesn't happen, so we damage our relationships. There might be times when we might need to pay late, but part of being a good customer is informing, right, our suppliers that might need to pay late, and then we're going to be able to integrate into our ERP solution as well, so we can optimize the value of our ERP system and help on the accounting side and those relationships as well. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up with some key takeaways and then a news about upcoming event that we're going to be having, Cash Management Tech Demo Day. So I'm going to go ahead and launch another polling question here for you today. Please take your consideration in answering the polling question. Sincerely appreciate it. Just takes a second. Also as a courtesy to my strategic partner, Esker, as well. So some key takeaways for you from the webinar today. The expectations of AP are going to be on the rise. Companies need to be more strategic in how and when they make payments. And so this is a mindset. Companies need to deliver visibility across AP processes and all interactions with suppliers. If you allow visibility in all aspects of AP, it removes friction from your processes, improves your customer relationships, and also can mitigate your risk exposure. I believe companies need to invest more in supplier relationships, and people need to understand technology can empower better supplier relationships, and that delivers more control over how and when payments are made. And then, all right, so all right, let me get it. All right, there. Okay, I'm having weird with my audience view here, so I'm trying to get you guys back. There we go. Key takeaways there. So please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to share the presentation with you as well. I also want to point out I'm hosting Cash Management Tech Demo Day on November 9th. We're going to feature 9 solutions in total, but we're absolutely going to feature two solutions offered by Esker. One of those we touched on today, but also on the AP side. And so I talked about this kind of nirvana of cash management. And so it is possible to have one solution set in the middle. We talked about the procure to pay side, all the great things here. Next week on Wednesday, we're going to focus on what AR in 2024 looks like, and we're going to look at the order to cash side. I want to once again thank my strategic partner, Esker, for their commitment to thought leadership and allowing me to deliver thought leadership at no cost to those who consume my thought leadership. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time out of your valuable day to attend the webinar today. Make the rest of your day great, everyone.